Electric power is all the rage these days. No surprise, every car maker is trying to get an electric car to market. But for Nissan, it's round 2 already with this, the second generation Nissan Leaf. I love those electric scooters, but I love the new Nissan Leaf more. Let's talk about stats, the most important thing for anybody buying an EV. The first thing they'll ask, what's the range, how far will it go? Well, this car with its new 40 kilowatt hour battery will go a lot further than it used to. That doesn't answer the question. Depends how you measure it. If you look at the old NEDC cycle, the tests that people used to put cars through that were completely irrelevant to most people, 235 miles, that's the measurement that all other cars, e-Golf, BMW i3 and the likes, are all measured against. But the new WLTP, World Harmonized Light Vehicle Testing Program, trips off the tongue quite nicely, that, doesn't it? That means the new Leaf will go 168 miles, a lot more realistic, a lot more real world. That's a combined cycle over 250 miles if you just sit in the city, where the car's regenerative braking can really boost the battery power back up. So what am I saying? In a real world, somewhere between 150, 160, 170 miles. Is that enough for you? Well, I think it's probably enough for most people if you plan your journeys properly. Another stat worth talking about is the performance. This car will go from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 7.9 seconds. Now, that's not Tesla fast, but it's a fraction of the price, about a third of the price. This car starts at just under £22,000. This bells and whistles version nearer to £28,000. But it is fun. You get that instant hit of torque. And this car's got a clever thing, a button down here that says e-pedal. Now that means you pretty much drive it just on one pedal. You lift off the accelerator and the car really brakes. So much so that the brakes actually click in eventually. Once the natural regenerative feel of an electric vehicle slows you down, the brakes will take you to a stop, a chauffeur stop, a very good stop that flatters your driving, and it can be really good fun. You might find yourself stopping a bit too short of junctions initially and have to accelerate a little bit further up, but it's good fun to play around with. And I've been driving this car probably for a few hours and have barely touched the brakes so far. It's that much fun. Now, I'm not only an EV fan, I'm a tech fan, and this car delivers on that level too, particularly in this top spec version, which for nearly 28 grand, you think the tech you get on board. So you've got Apple CarPlay, a must for me. Also for the first time for Nissan, Android Auto if you use one of those weird Android phones as well. But the thing I really love about this, apart from the e-pedal, is Pro Pilot. Now that is level 2 autonomy, which means the car will pretty much drive itself on the motorway. Sure, you've still got to hold the steering wheel, you've still got to be in control, but it does the braking, the acceleration, and it will keep you in lane. And it really does make life a lot more relaxing, particularly if you end up in a traffic jam in stop-start traffic. That system uses cameras, sonars, radar all over the car, and it will also help with things like autonomous emergency braking, so you don't bump into the car in front, and it will spot pedestrians, and self-parking. So if you're rubbish at parking, either in bays or parallel parking, it'll do that for you too. I didn't realise that Leaf was actually an acronym for Leading Environmentally Friendly Affordable Family Car. And as family cars go, it does pretty well. There's space enough for 4 adults my size. Sitting in the back is good. Headroom's a little tight, you sit a little high because there are batteries under the floor, and the boot is really impressive, 435 litres. What don't I like about the Leaf? Well, some of the quality in here, across the door and the dash, the plastics aren't as good as you'll get in a Golf. The steering wheel, it will go up and down, but it won't go in and out. But that said, I'm not really complaining about the driving position. And the looks, I'll leave you to judge the looks. Personally, I think there's too many lines and it's not a particularly cohesive look. It's not a car that you're going to stare at on your driveway for hours on end. It's not a sexy car. That said, I love the Leaf. Is it the car that will transform people's views of electric vehicles? It'll certainly do that for some of them. It's more usable for more people. The good news is there's another version, tech does this, coming in a year's time that will go even further and even faster. But for this one, if you can do 150 to 170 miles on a charge, that's going to really change people's opinions. It's a great car to drive with the tech on board as well. For the price, yeah, Tesla is the standard setter, but look at the price of a Tesla. I think this Leaf is really, really good and will certainly turn more people on, if you'll excuse the pun, to electric power.